before you can even start the process. You've got to wait for the fabric to arrive, then you've got to pre-wash it, which has to be cut usually in like 3-meter stretches at a time. So you have a whole roll of fabric, which then needs to be pretty much deconstructed before you can actually wash it. Then it still needs to be ironed before you do it, because you obviously need the measurements to be perfect when you cut them. So before you've actually even cut the fabric, the whole process involved is, it's quite a process.
Wow. And I'm assuming each piece needs to be ironed and cut correctly, because you can't just iron the one piece as a sample. It's every single piece.
Yeah. So when you cut it, at least you know that everything is absolutely perfect. And then, I mean, even the cutting process is, I mean, I take my hat off to the people that do it. I mean, you cutting out all your, at least you can do size by size, but I think that's like for us to do, I think even Kirsty and I, we do offer sort of once off, or if someone wants a specific size or we're out of stock, we do that sort of once off production. But in terms of like making it worth for the people that are actually cutting it, it's a lot easier to do an actual order. So like at the moment, we would probably do between 20 and 30 units at a time, just to make sure it's efficient, make sure that the person behind who is actually cutting it isn't, kind of taking all the time just to do one piece. It's a little bit more time effective. They know that there's a decent amount of work coming in. And I mean, at the moment, our team ranges between 4 to 6 people, or 4 to 6 women. So you've got the person cutting, you've got the seamstresses actually putting the garments together. There's someone ironing them. There's someone sewing on buttons. So it's, I mean, even the button process is.
Oh, shame. We love a button.
Love a button.
They don't love us for it, but we love a button. Shame.
Why is the button a process? I'm just from my ignorance, right? Sewing a button onto my old school shirts when they popped off, and that was quite a simple process for me.
I think it's just in comparison to machine work. So everything else is done on an electronic machine. It turns out a lot quicker. Whereas with the buttons, it's like each one gets hand done, and it's a lot more like hands on, quite literally.
Okay.
Sure.
So we've kind of gone roughly until we've gone like it seems like a garment is sort of coming into fruition now. So once the cutting's been done, you've kind of put the garment together and you've sewn on the buttons. I think one of the parts that I'm also a little bit interested in is like, once there is a garment to the point that it actually gets to somebody's door, what does that look like?
So there's a whole lot of conceptualization. I mean, we normally come up with a strategy. We do a whole content shoot, whether we book a photographer, we do our photos ourselves. Find the right models and the right people that are in alignment, try to be as versatile as possible in terms of...
Can you maybe use a specific garment as an example and take us through that process so we can hear a bit more of the specifics?
So with us, we've put a lot of thought even into our name. So a lot of it does come from Sanskrit, with obviously us originating our brand from Bali. So each garment has a name that links to what we think the dress should embody or feel or look like, or whatever the case may be. It pays homage to the concept of the actual garment. So for instance, we have the Ananda dress, which means like bliss, and it is tiered and beautiful and swirls with the air, and the poet should probably explain it a bit better, but it should embody like the feeling of bliss. So with the Ananda dress, like everything about that was more about something that could be like, with all of our dresses, something that can be dressed up or dressed down. So with our photo shoots, we'll try and like mix up how to style it. But even with that, I mean, like, the Ananda dress is probably up to date, being our most like conceptually technical, with the buttons, different sleeves. It comes in like 2 different sleeves. It's like an interesting question, like why we were even inspired. I think we were looking at so many different dresses and garments, and it was just something that came to.
I think something that was also versatile and beautiful and different, something long sleeve and a short sleeve that you can have for different occasions. It was also, it kind of came just before winter, so it was quite a nice one to see you through seasons. And in terms of like like Chris said, Ananda means bliss. So even the feeling of linen on your skin is like the most beautiful feeling. It's so soft, and it's hypoallergenic and all these things. And yeah, there's just the feeling of the actual linen on your skin all ties into the concept. Oh, there you got it, Ananda. Yeah, and I mean all the multiple tiers and the buttons, and yeah, we just felt the whole feeling of, I don't know, if, like when you're a kid and you're swirling around in circles and you just feel so free and so like, you know, so happy. And we kind of wanted that to embody the entire experience of you in that dress.